Oh, what a beautiful day. I can't wait to paint the scenery. I have my paints, a canvas, and my easel. Oh no, I forgot my paintbrush. Let's see. All I have is a rubber band and some string.
Well, hello there. What seems to be the problem?
I came all the way out here to paint this beautiful forest, but I forgot my paintbrush.
Well, this wonderful forest is full of resources that could help you. I've spent a lot of time in these woods, so I know a thing or two about the trees here and all that they can do. For example, you might already know that trees provide shelter for animals like squirrels and birds. Trees also release oxygen, which helps keep the air clean and helps humans breathe. Did you know that trees can be used to make houses and paper?
Wow, you know a lot about trees. What can you tell me about pine needles?
Well, these babies come from pine trees, which are also called conifers because they produce pine cones instead of flowers or fruit.
I know about pine cones.
Great! Well, in the fall, trees prepare for winter. Unlike deciduous trees, which change colors and lose their leaves, pine trees, or evergreen trees, keep their needles all year round, hence the name. Pine needles have a thick waxy coating called a cuticle, which helps them retain water throughout cold winters. Pine trees can live between 100 and 1,000 years and usually grow between 50 and 150 feet.
Wow, that's pretty tall.
Very tall. In fact, the largest pine trees are called ponderosa pines, and they can grow to be over 250 feet tall.
Wow, I think I'm getting dizzy.
Long story short, there are a lot of raw materials in the forest that can be used for a variety of purposes, pine needles included. Why don't we go over to my friends at the UGA Agricultural Extension? They are experts on this kind of thing and can tell us more about it.
Hi, my name is Cindy Toledo. I'm a master gardener with the Gwinnett County Extension Office. I am pleased to be working in coordination with the Suwannee branch of the Gwinnett County Public Libraries in our series of sustainability. So my portion of this series is to work on foraging and coming up with some craft ideas that you can do at home. Just being mindful that when you're foraging in the Gwinnett County or in the public parks, many of the landscaping plants that you see are for the good of the entire community, and you really shouldn't be going and pruning from that. But a lot of them in the back, in the woodlandscape, are available. Some things you're just going to find. I know to make some paintbrushes, I was cutting some wild onion, and so that's something that you can just cut. So thinking about your role in maintaining the beauty of the parks and the natural landscape that they have there, and just using what is available and appropriate for you to take. So I'm going to go around. It's a nice day out today. Just see what I can find on the ground or something back in the background, and try to gather some materials, and then we will look at what I got, what I was able to find, and figure out some crafting ideas that we can use. You can do them with your family, or teenagers can do them. And so let's get going. Let's go see what we can find at Vines Park. So here I am, kind of off of the beaten track here at Vines Garden. Now I know that when the volunteers come, they take their clippings and they put them away. And I think I'm going to go over here and get, it looks like some mahonia leaves. I might want to use that. But I also, like right here on the ground, I found some clusters of pine needles. So this might be something I could use that can spark the imagination. So yeah, they have some of this nice evergreen. Let me get my clippers. Here's some nice evergreen. A lot of it's brown, but I'm going to want to find green. Yep, over here is some green. So here I'm going to clip this and put this in my basket. And some of this nice mahonia leaf. I want to be careful. It's got kind of a nice leaf shape, but the corners are kind of pokey, so you want to be careful with that. So that's the kind of foraging that I'm doing, just walking around in the woods here to see what I can see. And as you pick up these things, your brain and your ideas are starting to think about the creative activities that you can do. And it's just such a nice venue, and it's just a nice day to be out. So let's see what else we can find here today. So here is all of the treasures that I have gathered on my trip to Vines Garden. You can see I have some sticks over here, including those ones that I was cutting to make the raft. Here is the onion grass to make paintbrushes. A lot of these things I just gathered without knowing. I have a lot of the long materials because I'm going to be working on a weaving project. I have different, the mahonia leaves here that are a little bit sticky. I tried to get different shapes and sizes. I got some berries for color. Over here I have a bunch of weeds that are going to be looking nice with some of the activities. I got different kinds of leaves. Always keeping your eyes out as you're looking for craft ideas. So this is an activity that would be perfect for bridging the ages. An older friend or an older child may want to make these paintbrushes, and then a younger one, or they could both paint with them. So all I did is I gathered some materials. Here I had a sweet gum ball, and I just pushed the paintbrush in it. Here's that onion grass from yesterday. I just trimmed it straight and tied it on with some twine. This is another piece of greenery. I just tied this on. This is not even a paintbrush. This is just a branch that we collected yesterday. With my pruning shears, I just cut it even. This is just a leaf that I wrapped around and then cut up to try to get some bristles. And this is a textured leaf, variegated leaf, but with the spines, I thought it would give an interesting look. These are some of the activities, some of the paintbrush ideas. You're just limited by what you find in your creativity. This is just something quick that we put together, and we thought it would be a lot of fun. This is going to be a perfect activity for a younger friend. Is we made a bookmark. So this was super simple. We just took our materials. Now these were some pansies, which is really the only flower that's blooming right now. And we pressed them between parchment paper under heavy books for a day or two. And then we had the contact paper. You laid it out, the sticky side, fill in half of it, fold it over, and then we just pressed to make sure it stuck really well. And this was a really easy and fun one, and you can always have it. And remember the walk to collect the materials, and take care of your books, and remember the fun time crafting that you had. So as we transition out of a little bit more challenging, we took that same idea of wrapping yarn and we wrapped it around some sticks that we found. So this is our friend Twiggly, and all we did was we just wrapped the yarn right up. When we got to where his arms would be, his arms are a separate stick that we wrapped around, and when we got here we just cross wrapped it. I did this, not my family. We took a little razor knife and cut a mouth notch, put some googly eyes on, and made some hair. And so this hair is hot glued on, and that's why this is staying with Twiggly style. But we also made Stickiny. Now Stickiny, we did her hair differently. We just tied it on with a headband. Same thing though. It was a lot. Actually, this was a lot more fun than what I thought. And once it was done, even this was fun, like looking at him and laughing at him. So this was one that I think younger kids could participate in with you guiding them, or you older kids you can each make your own. Just remember, when you find the stick, you're going to have a split for the legs. So this was a lot of fun. Our stickly people. This one is a little bit more useful. Again, it could be split, and you could do it with your younger ones, or your older ones can do it. So I looked at this rock. This kind of looked like a tomato to me. It could have also been an eggplant or maybe a squash, and so you could paint it to look like that vegetable. So I painted this all red, and then I put the detail of the stem right here, and then with a paint pen I wrote the word tomato. And so this will go right at the foot of my tomatoes when I garden. I used acrylic paint. I did not put a clear coat over it, but you should still be good to go with this. And this was a lot of fun too. I was really pleased with how this turned out. So now I'll have to finish and make a full set for my garden. Another one we did was we made this boat. This is a raft that we made with natural materials. When I went foraging at the park, I thought I might do this. So when I picked this smooth branch here, I went ahead and cut it to more or less the appropriate size. So my older son did this. It was very challenging. He did the base at the bottom by lashing 4 branches together, and then he lashed the rafters or the raft planks on the top. But I think this one will float, and there's lots of parts with water. The last one we did was very similar to the base of the sailboat here. We made, with the bamboo, we made a frame and lashed the corners together, and then we wrapped the twine all around this way. And I knew I was going to make this activity, so I purposely got longer materials, but not all of it is long. Here we just have a small leaf cluster with berries, which I thought was colorful, and a pine cone, and we just wove it right into the bloom. Again, my name is Cindy Toledo. I'm a master gardener with the Gwinnett County Extension Office. I'd like to thank the Swanee Libraries for inviting me in and to participate with this activity, and to Tim Daly, the extension agent who put us together. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Wow, that's a lot of good information.
We rangers are big fans of sustainability. I know I love the forest, and I hope it stays this big and beautiful for many generations.
You know, speaking of sustainability, these pine needles kind of look like the bristles on a paintbrush. I think I can make some sort of paintbrush with them.
Painting the scenery with the scenery. Ingenious.
Today we will show you how to make paintbrushes using tree branches and pine needles. This activity is great because it helps kids practice their fine motor skills. It also allows kids to express their creativity in using new materials. Kids will learn how different outdoor materials will make different textures, and they will get to use some of their senses to smell the pine sap and feel the prickly needles. To make our paintbrushes, we will be using twigs, pine needles, and string or rubber bands. Once you've completed your paintbrush, you will also need paint and a canvas or paper to test it out. First, you will forage outside in your yard or local park to find your materials. Next, hold the pine needles as evenly as you can around one end of a stick or twig. The stick will work as your paintbrush handle, and the pine needles will be the bristles. Then, wrap the rubber band or string around the pine needles so that they stay on the stick. This may require 2 sets of hands, so grab a parent or a buddy to help you. And voila! Now you've made your own paintbrush. Another way you can make a paintbrush is if you find one of these pine needle bundles that are still connected together. All you have to do is wrap a rubber band or string around it, and you have a paintbrush. And there you have it, 2 different ways to make paintbrushes by reusing outside materials. You can also experiment with different textures by using different materials found outside, like pine cones and leaves. Once you have your brush, you're ready to paint. Just get your paint and a canvas or paper and get started on your next masterpiece. So, when we reuse materials, instead of throwing them away, we're help protecting the environment and keeping it clean and beautiful for future generations. Ranger?
This is actually pretty fun.